things out tonight than vampires.
Like what?
Welcome back, Licks. Going to be starting episode 2 of our clan series today. And, Joe, who are we going to start off with?
Next up, we have the Hecata. And as Nate said, the one thing that has changed in 5th edition in a lot of ways is that they've taken some bloodlines that have been present since the 1st, 2nd edition and kind of combined them and gave them their own clan. This is one of those. If I recall correctly, the Hecata are made up of the Giovanni, the Cappadocians, the Sameti.
Yep. Those are the main 3 in there. And yeah, it's very interesting that they took these because in the previous editions, these weren't actual clans. They were bloodlines. So basically, they just took all of the necromantic clans, the ones that deal with death in various forms, and just rolled them all up into their own clan. But the cool thing is, for those of you that like the old versions and everything, and maybe like Joe is, big fan of like the Giovanni.
Yeah.
They still exist individually within the clan. As a matter of fact, the Giovanni are basically the ones that are in charge of the Hecata.
No surprise there. I mean, how do you get away from being in charge when you're already necromantic mobsters?
Yeah, exactly. So it's, the way they did it by, basically changing them from various bloodlines into a clan and rolling it all up in this. I do actually like the thought that went into that. And, the fact that you can still flavor them. You can even, with your storyteller's permission, of course, can go in and maybe change up some of the disciplines an individual member of the Hecata has to more reflect that bloodline.
Agreed. But once again, it allows for a lot of differentiation when it comes to each and every character that plays in that clan. It really allows and necessitates more communication between player and storyteller during character creation to really fine-tune exactly what you're trying to do with that character. In which case, you're getting a clearer picture of not only what your character is at the very beginning, but where you want your character to go. And that is so important in these games.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You can go through and play a character and just throw dots at stuff and everything and do that. And that's great. And that's fine. You can also be a power gamer and, try and just, make the strongest character you possibly can. But you tend to have a much more rewarding experience if you kind of have a blueprint laid out, a roadmap that you want this character to proceed towards. And with this clan, that is super, super important.
Agreed. You want to talk to us about their banes and compulsion?
Yeah. Okay. Well, the first bane that they have, which we have seen in our game in all of its gory, hysterical wonder.
Oh, yeah.
Is called Painful Kiss. The Hecata, unlike every other clan, when they bite someone, they don't get that euphoric bliss from the vampire's bite, from the kiss. Instead, it is horrendous. It is painful. It is bloody. It is gory. They can't escape from it. And depending on how well you describe it, it is horrifying. So basically, unwilling mortals can't escape from them, and they're just screaming their heads off, trying to get away, and they can't. They're basically, their body's locked up. Their sleep paralysis demon has them. They can't move, but they are just screaming.
Which, while you're feeding, drawing unwanted attention is never good.
Yeah. Let's say if the Hecata, if they had a herd, so they had willing vessels to feed from, and they would have to be masochists, to
take it back, you undead slut.
Be willing to do this. They still have to succeed a stamina plus resolve test against a difficulty of 2 plus the bane severity to keep from just going into absolute screaming fit of terror. Vampires who are willingly bit have to make a frenzy test against a difficulty 3 to avoid a terror frenzy because it hurts even other vampires.
Damn straight.
So, as Banes go, this one definitely earns its name.
No doubt. And I'll be completely honest, as a storyteller, this can be a lot of fun in various ways. Because not only are these people going to struggle or they're going to scream and such like that, because the bite is painful, the mortal or vampire are going to move around. That means blood that would normally just go down your gullet and feed you is starting to spread all about.
Yeah, because even though your body may be locked up and everything, they still writhe and move. They just can't get away from you.
Right.
It doesn't mean that they're not making a mess all over the place and ruining your nice suit.
Ruining your nice suit, or maybe the bedroom of the local warden.
Yeah. That was...
Oh, man.
That sidetracked the entire story arc for, 3-4 games?
Yeah, I think so.
Just trying to clean that
and
mess
it's still
up.
coming back to haunt you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that just, once again, everything you do in this game can come back around, and that's one of the things that Banes are meant for, is it's a constant thing that adds to the story. We had several sessions, all because of our Hecata's Bane.
Mm-hmm.
And it made for a great storyline, being added in the middle of everything else.
Including a van set on fire in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
With a newly embraced vampire sitting inside of it.
Hey, you know what? I just had to take care of that. Had to take care of it. I wasn't going to get in trouble for that. So they also have a variant Bane called Decay. In this, and it's kind of an interesting one, they suffer additional dots and flaws equal to their Bane severity. So if you have a Bane severity of 2, you have to take 2 dots and flaws spread across either retainer, haven, or resources. So you can put, 1 in each, 2 in 1, however you want to do it. And to me, this sort of exemplifies the fact that they are a sort of decaying clan as a whole. Their retainer is old and creepy. Their haven's kind of run down a little bit. For their resources, maybe all their money is in gold Spanish doubloons that are really hard to get credit or cash from, or maybe they just don't understand how to get credit or anything, so they have to deal with older forms of transfer.
Kind of an anachronistic way. It almost makes them feel like these vampires are a bit older and out of touch with current society.
Yeah, they're the Addams family of the vampire world. This leads us into their compulsion, morbidity. When this compulsion starts, they have to move something from life to death or from death to life, which means they either have to kill something or bring something back to life. And until they do so, they suffer a 2 dice penalty on all their rolls. Now, you may think, oh Lord, this is bad because now they have to either kill somebody or resurrect somebody. What if they can't resurrect somebody? Well, they do say in the rules that it does not have to be a living thing. It can be an object or even something as abstract as an idea or a conversation.
This
conversation is over.
So, their compulsion comes on them and somebody's talking to them about, the latest gallery showing that's coming through town, and they're like, nope, I'm out. Turn around and walk off.
Absolutely.
They just killed that conversation. It's kind of up to the storyteller and everything about what you can get away with as far as enacting this compulsion, but you got a lot of leeway and room to sort of, act it out to where you're not just going, oh, I've got to go murder someone now.
Right. Though I'm sure there's a couple murder hobos out there that love playing Hecata and being like, oh, my compulsion hit, let's go kill something.
Yeah, exactly. And, this is kind of a game that's sort of tailor-built a lot of times for people that like to murder hobos, let's be honest.
Their disciplines with the Hecata are aspects, your capability of heightening your senses, seeing into auras, and even at the higher levels, being able to take your spirit out of your body to go spy and look at things. Fortitude, once again, your ability to soak up damage, to stop damage from hurting you, and one of those other rare disciplines that only a couple of clans have, and is personally one of my favorite, Oblivion. Oblivion has kind of become an amalgam of a couple different disciplines from previous editions. Now it is based both with the manipulation of shadows and necromancy itself. The Hecata specifically use this more for the necromantic side, where they can find fetters of ghosts and trap ghosts and use them for various things, up to possibly even having those ghosts becoming shadows and such like that. But they definitely fits in with the Hecata and their necromantic ways.
Oh yeah, and it's also, it's an interesting discipline because they sort of melded in almost something like blood sorcery with it, where you actually have ceremonies.
You do?
In this particular discipline that your character can learn that does different things, such as, raising a zombie, creating something that makes it to where you can identify, the locations and existence of ghosts and spirits. it gives it, you know, a little more of the old school, you know, the necromancer feel and everything.
Agreed.
It's definitely an interesting one. I still kind of miss the Tenebration, but, you know,
Agreed.
it is what it is.
I mean, necromancy in and of itself was its own discipline back in the day. But when we get down to another one of my favorite clans, the Lasombra, we will definitely talk about Oblivion and how Tenebration used to be in totality.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Speaking of the Lasombra, look who's next.
Well, hey, you know what? You know I'm going to want to talk about my favorite eventually, so I know this is one of your all-time favorites, even though this clan was my introduction to the Sabbat.
Was it?
In the original first edition, yeah. Mm-hmm. But I do know these guys are your favorites.
They are. There's just something about vampires that have the power over shadows that really just tugs in my heart. Yeah, that's actually their nickname. Is the Lasombra are called Shadows. They are a clan that is, while political, they don't like the spotlight. They like to do everything, obviously, from the shadows. Very cool clan in totality. Very family-oriented clan. Very similar to some of the Hecata bloodlines and such. But they are so much fun to play, especially because of the whole creep factor in totality.
Yeah.
Little burrito.
Yeah, little burrito.
That's what we call him.
Yeah.
We have a NPC in our game that's called Sombrito, who is a young Mexican boy who was embraced out of necessity at a very young age, about 10 years old. And my players, including Nate here, got the chance to meet him in a darkened alley where the shadows started to writhe and pulse and then suddenly pick up and destroy a steel dumpster and shattered it into 1,000 pieces.
Yeah, for those of you that watched our introductory video, the first one we put on the channel, that in the very beginning part, that was
Sombrito.
You know, yeah, that was Sombrito in the alleyway there. Little kid likes to lurk in alleyways and everything.
He really plays into that creep factor of a little undead kid.
Yeah, but you know, another good example of a Lasombra in play. And I drop a lot of movie references, guys, so I apologize for that ahead of time. But I do suggest watching most of these because they're all really good. Is in the Subspecies movies. Mm-hmm. Radu, even though they made him look like an Nosferatu, very much the way you would play a Lasombra with his control over the shadows and everything.
Agreed.
The visuals in that movie, when I went back and watched it later after having played the game and everything, and got introduced to this clan, and I went back and watched it again, I was just like, oh, that's exactly how I would imagine it.
Agreed.
Really good clan for atmosphere. Really good clan if you like to be the creepy boy.
Mm-hmm. The Lasombra's Banes. Let's get into this. Their Banes have changed over the edition. Used to be, you can, no reflection at all, anything like that. Currently, their main bane is called Distorted Image, where if they are in front of a mirror, anybody who sees their reflection notices that something's wrong. If people know that vampires are real, whether it be another vampire or a mortal in the know, they see them for what they are. Their true nature shines through in their reflection. If a mortal doesn't know about vampires, or it's even a supernatural creature that doesn't know exactly that vampires exist, they just know that something is off about their reflection that really makes them very wary about it. This does not help them avoid anything like CCTV, security cameras, even audio recordings. Each one of these will have a bit of distortion to kind of show that their nature isn't exactly what it seems.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that, it's not like having the obfuscate power Ghost in the Machine where you just don't appear on recorded media. It just makes them look weird. Their face looks more monstrous, maybe. Their shadow seems to move of its own accord. Their voice maybe has a strange lilt to it, maybe even sounds like two voices talking at once on any sort of audio recording. A lot of ways this can be flavored in.
Agreed. I love being a storyteller for things like that because, granted, there's a lot of options that they show in the book, but it gives me so much freedom to play with it, especially when I get to do my voices here and there and make it sound oddly creepy to my players.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You want to tell us about their variant bane?
Yeah, their variant bane is callousness. And this is a little more closely akin to, their original bane. And basically, they just don't care.
They don't.
They look at everything as beneath them, almost not worth notice, unless they can figure out some way to manipulate it to make them more powerful. This particular version, the way it works is whenever they're making a remorse test to see if they lose humanity, they remove a number of dice equal to the bane severity. Once again, just like with the other one we talked about earlier, the dice pool cannot go below 1. So if you have a bane severity of 2, you reduce your dice pool by 2 when trying to make that remorse check to see if you lose a point of humanity. So they can go down in humanity very, very quickly.
Really quickly.
Yeah.
It makes sense, especially with the ideals and lore of the Lasombra themselves. When you peer into the abyss and the abyss becomes a part of you,
Yep.
mortal life and just regular reality doesn't seem to matter near as much anymore.
Yep.
Speaking of that, why don't you tell us about their compulsion?
All right. Always loved this one since the first edition. It's one of the reasons I liked playing in games that had them. I've never actually played a Lasombra myself, but I played a lot of Sabbat games back in the day. Always had, either other players playing them or had them as NPCs and everything. And they bring ruthlessness to a whole new level. And that is their compulsion, is being ruthless. Anytime they fail an action, they receive a 2 dice penalty to all rolls until a future attempt at that same action succeeds. And the penalty also applies to the rolls trying to get that action to succeed. They cannot stand being foiled in something. You've got your Lasombra and he's all put together and, the master manipulator and everything, and, something happens and he can't open a box or figure out how this computer thing works, and he just becomes obsessed with beating it. He has to be the master over it.
Very much a Lasombra ideal in totality.
Yep.
Once you master the capability of manipulating darkness around you, everything else should be pretty simple, right?
Yeah. And and they literally just, nothing else matters to them. Nobody else's opinion matters. And they will do anything to accomplish whatever this goal is when this compulsion hits.
Get that W.
Yep. Got to pump them numbers up.
That's it. Let's talk about their disciplines. The 3 disciplines for the Lasombra are Dominate, Oblivion, which makes them the only other clan with Oblivion,
Yep.
and then Potence. This can be a lot of fun. Dominate really shows their ideal of being masters of all, and masters from the shadows, and it kind of plays in with Oblivion as well. Gives them that capability to be a bit more social and not just the wielders of darkness and the beaters of things.
Yeah, they actually tend to be more controlling than even Ventrue a lot of times.
Absolutely. Going into Oblivion, these guys are on the opposite side of the same coin with the Hecata. While ceremonies are still a thing and such, instead of them focusing more on the necromantic powers of the Oblivion discipline, it is all about the shadows. It is all about the darkness. It is about manipulating them, being able to see and hear through them at later levels, even being able to create arms of shadow that have a bit of their potence behind it, which is so much fun for a storyteller to run with.
Oh, yeah. That was creepy. That was super creepy. That had everybody worried.
As it should. Obviously, their last discipline is that potence, that supernatural strength that we've talked about, that is a common discipline throughout numerous clans.
Oh, yeah.
Love the Lasombra. They are great. So much fun to play. Another clan that's super fun to play that we both love.
Oh, yeah.
The Malkavians.
This
We all go a little mad sometimes.
is easily my number 2 favorite clan. Mm-hmm. Easily. If you're a theater kid, if you're an actor, if you really get into the story aspect of the game and just go all in on how you portray your character, this is the one for you. Malkavians. These are the lunatics. Oracles, seers, wise madmen. They're nuts.
They're insane. Pardon my language. We'll edit that out.
We'll edit that out. I'll bleep that.
They're insane.
Yes, they are insane. They embrace from people who are already insane or who they drive insane. A good example of a Malkavian would be Drusilla from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, absolutely.
So, because she has that sort of sight and she gets the premonitions and everything, but she's also just completely nuts.
Bat nuts, yeah.
Yeah. So, I absolutely love this clan. I had a character one time that he had multiple personalities, and each one of his personalities was a different vampire from TVs or movies.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 minute he's Lestat, the next minute he's Angel from Buffy, the next minute he's Nick Knight from Forever Knight.
Yes.
He'd roll through them randomly sometimes, and you had an entirely different character depending on which one was in charge.
Absolutely.
And so it made it so much fun to play.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got a good set of disciplines for this. This is more the original first edition discipline lineup for your standard Malkavians, which was Auspex, Dominate, and Obfuscate. So, the Auspex leans into them being the seers and, getting the premonitions and seeing the unseen and all that. Dominate allows them to, sometimes kind of spread their madness to others.
Mm-hmm.
And Obfuscate makes it to where after they pull off one of their epic pranks in the middle of Elysium, they can get out of town without getting caught by the sheriff.
Yes, sir.
So, and that's the other thing is, sometimes you end up, with the maniacal serial killer. Sometimes you end up with the merry jokester. You just really don't ever know what you're going to get with them. And that's one of the reasons that a lot of other clans tend to be leery of them, is because they're very unpredictable. You never know what you're going to get. And also there's, rumors that they might all have sort of a common shared awareness, almost like a hive mind of sorts.
A little bit of a connection through their madness, through the blood.
Yeah. And this is one of two clans that this whole ideal kind of really plays heavily into. This idea that they share sort of a connection through their sire that they can use, to communicate with each other or communicate over long distances and share information and share secrets. So sometimes, they might be talking to themselves. Sometimes they might be talking to an elder on the other side of the world. You never know.
Madness Network, or I think they just call it the network now.
Yeah,
right?
they just call it either the Cobweb or the Network.
It can definitely be a lot of fun to play with, both as a storyteller and a player.
Oh, yeah.
This is definitely one that you will have to speak to your storyteller about and see what kind of restraints they want to put on it, though.
Yeah, because it could be very OP, depending on how it was used and everything. But your storyteller, we're not leaving storytellers out. Storytellers could use it just to sort of dribble little things in. That plot point you're trying to figure out a way to get your players onto.
Or maybe even distract the player with suddenly the insane ramblings of another Malkavian from another state away.
Yeah.
While they're trying to focus and be calm and such. Well, hey, not today.
Yep. They're Clan Bane, other than, being insane,
Right.
which all of them are. They all have, several different derangements.
Mm-hmm.
But their Clan Bane is called Fractured Perspective in 5th edition. Basically what happens with this is when they suffer a bestial failure or a compulsion, their mental derangement comes to the forefront. Now, if they have multiple mental derangements because they've been around for a while, you kind of just, either the storyteller picks one or, you do it randomly. But when this happens, they suffer a penalty equal to their Bane severity to one category of dice pools, either physical, social, or mental for the entire scene. Basically, this shows how either their derangement is physically, emotionally, or mentally debilitating to them. So, it could be their social, could be them all of a sudden talking to things that aren't there and or being afraid of everyone around them. Their physical could be, they're suddenly consumed with the idea that they're an old, decrepit man and they're just hobbling around. Their mental is they could revert to a childlike state.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of different ways you can play this particular Bane around to give it, some flavor, depending on the type of character you made when you made this Malkavian. Their variant Bane, which is sort of a throwback to the 2nd edition and to some of the rules for Malkavians and the Sabbat, is unnatural manifestations. Basically, when they use disciplines within close proximity of mortals, scares them, and any social interactions other than intimidation suffer dice penalties equal to their Bane severity. Now, while this is not masquerade breaking, it's really not good.
No.
Because it instantly makes everyone around them just not like them and not want to be around them. They're very uncomfortable around them.
Think of like the creepy crackhead that's in every downtown area that's talking to themselves as they walk up and down the street. Nobody really wants to get close to them. Nobody really wants to interact with them. That's kind of how I see this Bane variant.
Yeah, and so they're walking down the street and they're using their Auspex to look at something, and all of a sudden every mortal around them, just gets extremely uncomfortable because, they're describing what they're seeing or whatever. This only lasts for a scene. It could be worse, but in social situations, it could definitely be a problem.
Agreed.
Now, their compulsion is delusion. Now, this can be figments of their imagination. It could be extrasensory perception. They're seeing, the spaces in between dimensions or whatever. Or it could just be that they are comprehending some great truth. Basically, for one scene, they suffer a 2 dice penalty on rolls involving dexterity, manipulation, composure, or wits, as well as any rolls to resist terror frenzy, because they are in the grips of this delusion of whatever it is that they're seeing around them. So, once again, that gives the storyteller a lot of places to play. A lot of things that he can do when this compulsion comes on.
Agreed. It's a lot of fun, both as a player and a storyteller.
All right, Licks. I think that wraps it up for this one. So leave a like, a subscribe, share it with some of your friends that are just as dark and twisted as you, and we'll see you on the next episode. Y'all have a good one, Licks.
You know that I'm a talking cat. There's no such thing. Everything I say is really you.
It's true, buddy. It's all you.
What? Come on, Jer. You know that.
Your pets are spot on, Jerry.
I kind of suspected that.